Expecting severe weather later today, but thousands have already been dealing with power outages. What San Antonio fire officials say are behind these outages.
Plus, authorities searching for what they call a dangerous person after these videos went viral on social media. The story behind this and where it happened in your morning headlines.
Live from KSAT 12. Good morning, San Antonio starts right now.
And good morning. As you can see from radar behind us here, it is a wet start to our Monday, March 21st.
Thanks for joining us today. Hope you had a wonderful weekend. The weather was definitely different this weekend. It was, nice over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. And then, of course, we have the rain and potentially severe weather later on. Let's take a look outside with live cam. 65 degrees. You can see those spots there on our camera.
Yeah, the rain's been coming down. It was sort of a damp morning commute, caused some issues this morning on the roadways. Everything is light right now. We're not worried about severe weather at this hour. It's going to be later this afternoon. So after school activities, the evening commute, that's where we want to put out some caution because we do think there will be some storms developing later this afternoon. Let's get right to the radar, show you exactly where the rain is at this hour. We've got the light rain moving south to north across the city of San Antonio. Again, all of it fairly light, although you'll find some pockets where it may pick up some. We're seeing that especially there on the city's north side, up around Hollywood Park, Garden Ridge, seeing some of those showers. Again, everything's moving pretty quickly. And we'll zoom in a little bit closer to the north and east. That's where the rain has been most widespread. Garden Ridge up to New Braunfels, maybe up to San Marcos. I think that this rain will be pushing out about noontime or so. We'll see a little bit of a break. And then, as I mentioned, that's when we start to watch for some thunderstorms this afternoon. What are the threats? Hail is going to be the biggest threat there, but we're also going to have to watch out for the threat for a few tornadoes. Wind gusts will be very strong with some of the stronger storms, and then flooding does not look likely at this point. Obviously, we've been very dry. We could see some pockets of heavy rain, but we're not looking for widespread flooding. So those are the threats. Here is how it times out. Good chances of rain this morning, and as I said, by noontime, those start to taper off a little bit. As we get into the afternoon, lower chances for rain 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., but 4 p.m., and I know we have outdoor activities during this time. The kids do. Be careful out there. 60% chance of rain, temperatures in the 80s, and this is when we could see some of our stronger storms. I think the best chance, and I should emphasize this, will be along Highway 281 and points east as we go throughout the evening. And you see the rain chances there still staying elevated. I'd say by 8, 9 o'clock, we're going to watch these storms push away to the east. Our eastern counties will be affected by some of these stronger storms. This is something we're going to be watching all day long. The KSAT weather app will be there for you. We'll be sending out alerts. We'll be keeping you on top of what's going on here. And we'll have more on this forecast coming up in just a few minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. And with wet roads, we've had delays all over town in different spots. And as far as accidents go right now, I can tell you right now, there are 3 accidents in a row around 35 and Division. As we speak, it appears they're affecting the northbound lanes. We also have an accident working just past Highway 90, northbound 35. So a very, very active morning out there due to these slick streets.
And something we are keeping an eye on this morning, those power outages. Thousands across San Antonio forced to get ready for the day in the dark. And right now it looks like we have 13,408 customers that are affected.
Now, the San Antonio Fire Department and CPS Energy have had a very busy morning, responding to more than a dozen electrical fire calls due to weather. Firefighters tell us it's a result of not having a lot of recent rain and dried up poles and wind from last night causing the, quote, tops of utility poles to snap and catch fire, end quote.
We've been through a little bit of a dry spell, and then we had the wind come in, and it's been the dust that accumulates over several months, and then you get that little bit of moisture. We'll see a lot of arcing wires.
The electrical fires sometimes result in transformers blowing up and power outages. CPS Energy crews are working to repair the poles and all those downed lines. A reminder, you want to make sure you have our free Weather Authority app throughout the day and into the night tonight. You can check ahead to stay ahead of the storm and check live radar in your neighborhood from your phone. You also get any important notifications from our Weather Authority team if severe weather does start to pop up. And again, this app is free.
And a quick update, an Amber Alert for 2 missing children in North Texas has been discontinued. It was for a 2-year-old girl and 7-year-old girl from Pampa, which is in the Panhandle, about 60 miles northeast of Amarillo. We were told the girls were found earlier this morning and they are safe. No further information has been released at this time, but again, the Amber Alert for the girls has been discontinued.
That is good news. Here's today's 9 at 9. Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson faces the Senate Judiciary Committee today for the first in what would be a whirlwind week of hearings. If confirmed, Jackson will be the 116th justice and the first black woman seated on the nation's highest court. Today's hearings will be all talk and no questions, with senators and Jackson herself offering carefully scripted opening statements that may offer some clues about how the next few days will go.
Justice Clarence Thomas remains hospitalized this morning while being treated for an infection. Thomas is the most senior associate justice on the High Court. Health officials say his condition is improving. He does not have COVID-19. Court officials say Thomas intends to take part in considering cases through court records and recordings of oral argument for the days he cannot be there in person or remotely.
President Joe Biden will host a phone call today with multiple European leaders to discuss further response to Russia's attack on Ukraine. The call among the world leaders will precede Biden's planned trip to Europe this week, where he will stop at NATO headquarters in Brussels on Thursday and then travel Friday to Poland. It will also come after the pounding of Mariupol intensified Sunday. The Ukrainian government estimates about 2,300 people have died in Mariupol alone.
One person is in custody and a search is underway for another shooter this morning after a rampage at a southeast Arkansas car show left at least one person dead and 28 hurt. An organizer said the car show was one of several events held Saturday to promote nonviolence. 6 children under the age of 11, including 2 toddlers, were brought to Arkansas Children's Hospital in Little Rock. The police chief identified the person killed as 23-year-old Cameron Schaefer.
A popular skin moisturizer is being recalled because it may contain a harmful bacteria. The FDA says Jergens Ultra Healing Moisturizer could be contaminated with bacteria that could cause infections for people with weakened immune systems. The Jergens products that are part of the recall have a lock code on the back or the bottom of the bottle that starts with the letters ZU.
Workers at Chevron Oil Refinery in California is saying they're hitting the picket lines this morning. They've been working without a contract for more than a month. Gas prices in California are already the highest in the country.
With mask mandates dropping and more companies planning to get workers back into offices, anxiety levels are up again for many employees. The New York Times says one of the biggest problems is the patchwork of COVID safety rules, creating confusion for just about everyone.
A new study casts some doubt on the use of medical marijuana in the treatment of anxiety and depression. The Harvard study divided 269 people into 2 groups. One group got a medical marijuana card to treat their pain, anxiety, or depression immediately. The other had to wait 12 weeks. It turned out that patients who got earlier access were 20% more likely to develop marijuana use disorder. That means they became dependent on marijuana without showing improvement in their pain, anxiety, or depressive symptoms.
After 3 years of no hosts, this year's Academy Awards will give us one for every year missed. Regina Hall, Wanda Sykes, and Amy Schumer making history as the first all-women trio to MC Hollywood's biggest night. The show will be live from the Dolby Theater in Hollywood this Sunday night at 7 on KSAT 12. That's today's 9 at 9. In your other morning headlines, a terrifying train derailment in Wisconsin, a shooting on Miami Beach, and a Tesla crash gone viral.
We are starting here in Texas, though. Max Massey joins us live in the studio. And Max, what is the latest on the Eastland Complex fire?
Good morning, guys. So terrifying situation for so many people in and around Texas. Now, the fire already blamed for 2 deaths of 2 firefighters, one here in Texas, one in Oklahoma. Now, the Eastland Complex fire continues to burn. It's consumed 54,000 acres at least. The Texas A&M Forest Service estimates it's only 30% contained. Hood County Sheriff Roger Deeds confirmed 1 firefighter hurt just yesterday in Bluffdale. Emergency officials say the evacuations, though, are now voluntary, no longer mandatory like what we saw last week. Here's the thing, more than 140 structures have already been destroyed. All right, heading to Florida, a drive-by shooting on Miami Beach, turning spring break into a nightmare. So take a look. The owner of a Miami hotel in South Beach captured that video of spring break crowds reacting to the gunfire. 3 people hurt in the shooting just after midnight yesterday. All of this happening on Miami Beach's very popular Ocean Drive. The streets were crowded with a lot of spring break tourists. And while many were running from the gunfire, there was heroism on the scene. Police officers running toward the gunshots. Officers surrounding a suspect with their guns drawn. Miami Beach police not yet said whether the suspect was connected to the shooting, but he was detained. And here we go, headed to Wisconsin. Look at that. A calm and quiet Saturday morning ending with an unpleasant wake-up call after multiple boxcars and a tanker flipped off the tracks in Wisconsin. A Canadian Pacific cargo train going off the tracks near Parkside and Glacier Road, right near a lake. So the local county sheriff's office says 9 cargo cars derailed, 8 boxcars and 1 tanker. All of them except one was empty. Now, that one was hauling lumber, but still a scary situation. Now, at this time, local authorities say no reported injuries, no power disruptions, no private property damage, and luckily no hazmat or environmental impacts. All right, guys, you may have seen this video. Look at that. Tesla literally flying. It's been all over most social media. The Tesla went airborne, and now police are calling it a dangerous stunt. But here's what you may not know. It was a rented vehicle, and police are now searching for the driver. Now, that driver sped through what appeared to be a neighborhood, took off the ground, then crashed. Now, this stunt resulted in a wreck involving a pair of parked vehicles and a couple of trash cans. The driver then left the scene, abandoned the Tesla right in the middle of the street, and police, well, still searching for them. All right, a unique set of pictures of Russian cosmonauts arriving at the International Space Station. It's now stirring a controversy. Look at what they're wearing, guys. So this trio of cosmonauts, they're wearing bright yellow flight suits trimmed in blue. As we all know, over the last few weeks, these colors match the colors of the Ukrainian flag. So former NASA astronaut Scott Kelly tweeting in both Russian and English that cosmonauts were wearing Ukrainian yellow. The Russian Space Agency quick to point out that the yellow and blue that you see on your screen, they're also the school colors of the Moscow University that the cosmonauts attended. So they were expected to go there, work with 4 NASA astronauts and 1 from a European agency on a 6.5-month-long mission. So another thing that you guys may have seen on social media, and when you first saw it, at least for me, I was like, oh my goodness, this is a sign of unity. They're actually standing for Ukraine. But the Russian Space Agency, quick to point out, that may not be the case.
That is a fashion coincidence, apparently.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you, Max.
It is a bit ironic, though.
A little bit.
Thank you, Max. See you in a bit. Right now, 9:10, about 65 degrees, still ahead on GMSA at 9.
San Antonio authorities still on the hunt for the people who damaged a historic Mission Church. The details on what's next for the church and how they plan to restore.
And RJ Marquez joins us on this Monday morning for some trending stories from KSAT.com.
And a quick look outside with a live cam. It's been a rainy morning. We're now at 65 degrees. We'll be checking in with Justin very soon.
9:14, first full day of spring, and it's going to be eventful weather-wise.
It has been so far.
It has been. We've had some light rain, most of it very light, but we did pick up 0.2 of an inch of rain at the airport. That's the good news. What we don't want to deal with this afternoon, of course, is the severe weather. And that possibility is there. Right now, again, everything is pretty light. We're seeing these showers move south to north across the city of San Antonio. It's made for wet roads. We've had several accidents out there, so the roads are slick. And we're starting to see a few more pockets of maybe some moderate or even heavy rain. I'll take you up here to the Sattler area. This is Canyon Lake. Starting to see little pockets like this develop where there could be some heavier rain as it tracks off to the north. We'll look for that over the next couple of hours. And then the rain will taper off a little bit before we get that chance of storms again later today. Here's a look at the futurecast, and we'll go to noontime here. We'll fast forward. Notice the rain is beginning to move out. We still have some cloud cover, but the rain is moving north of San Antonio. As we get towards 2 o'clock, some clearing is possible. Now this does a couple of things. It makes the atmosphere a little more unstable, and that's when we may start to see some storms begin to blossom, especially in the hill country. And then as we get towards 4 p.m., isolated storms developing along a dry line that's going to be setting up right along Highway 281. The best chance for storms today will be along 281 and points east. By 5 p.m., notice we've got some bigger storms now popping up. And if we get some of these isolated storms that are kind of sitting by themselves, that's when we'll be really concerned about the threat for some severe weather. Now, keep in mind, not everyone is going to see these storms. But the threat is there, and as we go later into this evening, it pushes away from San Antonio. By 6 p.m., we're looking at places like Austin down to Gonzales, maybe Beeville with some of these storms when it comes to timing. And by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, these storms are trying to push south and east, although they may linger for a time across our southeastern counties. And that's a time frame where we may have to watch for a little bit of heavy rain. I don't anticipate flooding being an issue here in San Antonio. So let's time it out for you. Decent chances of rain this morning. It's the light stuff through noontime, and then the rain chances start to taper off. We're at 72 degrees. By, say, 2, 3 o'clock, we could see a little bit of sun. Rain chances come down. But by the afternoon, they pop back up with that chance of storms. 60% chance, 4 to 5 o'clock. And then a 60% chance, 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Although by this time frame, again, I think some of these storms are pushing east of San Antonio. Where are we going to see the severe weather today? Well, as we look at the map here from the Storm Prediction Center, we think there will be numerous severe storms stretching from Dallas to Tyler to Houston, back to San Antonio and Austin. This is an area where we are expecting quite a bit of active weather. Here around San Antonio, as you go west, you're falling into more just scattered severe storms, and then west of that, it's more isolated. So you see where the best chances are today. And the threats, hail's going to be at the top of our list, but we do have to watch for tornadoes and wind gusts, just the way the atmosphere is setting up. And I mentioned flooding. It's unlikely here in San Antonio. We will have to watch some of our southeastern counties later tonight. On the backside of this, the other issue we're going to have, gusty winds, still some very, very dry air out west, high fire threat for those areas that have been dealing with it really over the last week or so out towards Brackaville, Uvalde, and La Pryor. Something else to watch this afternoon. Right now, we've got cloudy skies and still some light rain coming down. 68 degrees, some good southeasterly winds at 17. Most of us are in the 60s and 70s at this hour. And locally, 61 Bernie stage, 62 right now in Comfort. When we see that sun this afternoon, I think that will boost the temperatures into the 80s. There is our low. This is the culprit behind all of it. You see it spinning here. It's bringing up good moisture, good dynamics for some of those storms today. And that's what we'll be watching throughout the afternoon and evening. Here's the 7-day forecast. Really, it's just today that we're focusing on. After this, we get some windy conditions tomorrow, breezy Wednesday and Thursday, but decent weather in the 70s and then 80s returning by the weekend. And keep in mind, you can get that KSAT weather app. It'll be a good friend to you today. We'll be able to send out updates, and we'll have some live severe coverage if it warrants that. You can just download or scan over the QR code there, and you can download that KSAT weather app. Mark, Steph.
Thank you, Justin. One of the big accidents that we didn't get to at the top of the newscast you are seeing right now, and it was a big rig accident. It's been out there all morning, right, Steph?
Yeah, it has, and it's this is East Bexar County and eastbound lanes where primarily the impact is. You can see the wind shaking the camera right there, but that has been holding up things all morning long. Yeah,
and you see the frontage road folks are having to get off there. This is right around FM 1516 at I-10, again eastbound, heading out of San Antonio, right before you get out to Loop 1604 in East Bexar County. But the situation has been there all morning, and it looks like it continues to be a problem as they continue to try to clear that situation up. Add insult to injury, this, of course, is one of the many construction zones around our city.
Oh, yes. Definitely traffic delays there, probably for, more, to say a
little while longer for sure.
A little longer for sure, yeah, and it's been like that all morning again.
All right, heads up again if you're headed out of San Antonio on eastbound I-10. Right now, it's just about 9:20.
And still ahead on GMSA at 9. Free ice cream cone? Well, you can get your hands on one today. RJ Marquez has details on where and how. Coming up next.
This morning over on KSAT.com, we have some results from our online survey asking people if they prefer year-round daylight saving time.
And fans of the show Friends are really perking up over a new house listing. Plus, where to get some free ice cream today. RJ Marquez is here with all of those stories and more. Good morning.
Good Monday morning, guys. Good way to start with some free ice cream.
Yeah, for sure.
As long as people stay safe from the weather. Want to make sure people do that. but we'll talk about how to get a free cone later today. But first of all, we start here with a big story over the past couple of days, past week or so, this daylight saving time story and the possibility of it becoming year-round in the U.S. So what we did here, we posted an online survey and asked our viewers about daylight saving time, and a majority of people who answered said that they actually do prefer it. So nearly everyone who participated in this survey said they, for one, do not like to switch back and forth their clocks between standard time and daylight saving time. So basically, just kind of stick to one there. More than 94% of people said that they would prefer to stick to the same time year-round. And again, we had hundreds of people respond to our survey, and nearly 54% said they would prefer to have year-round daylight saving time, so the current time that we are on right now. About 41% said they prefer to have year-round standard time. That's during the the winter months there. And only 5% said that they would actually like to switch between standard and daylight saving time. And you could check out all of our responses on KSAT.com. A lot of people explaining, maybe they like to do more stuff before the sun sets later, right, or, a later start to the sunrise. So, yeah, interesting responses.
Another one of those things where people are very outspoken.
Oh, yes. I mean, well, we've been talking about it for years.
Yes.
I mean, it's, definitely a little thing on your schedule.
Yeah, people are passionate about daylight saving time. I will say that. Yeah, and this whole proposed shift. So we'll continue to follow that story.
Thanks.
All right, guys, switching gears a little bit here. If you are a fan of the show Friends, a super fan, then this just might be your dream home. So a Texas townhome is on the market, and it's getting all kinds of buzz this morning because it puts you right on the set of that iconic sitcom. The home was listed on Friday for, get this, $330,000. It's located in Northwest Houston, so not in our area, but still in Texas. And the murals on the wall depict the iconic moments from the Friends show. And that includes, of course, that fountain from their intro. How about Monica's kitchen? And of course, the Central Perk coffee house. There's also a foosball table upstairs to match Joey and Chandler's hangout. And you can see more pics of this townhome and get more information on KSAT.com.
That's
you guys
cute.
Friends fans?
Our former producer, Oriana, was a huge Friends fan, but she's not in this area.
I think I think like a lot of folks, she kind of caught on late.
Yes.
We watched kind of during
when it was happening.
when it was actually on.
Yeah, Netflix and all those streaming things kind of helped to give it this second life. So
absolutely,
yeah, not a big Friends fan over here, but still, I know people are very, very into it.
Yes, they
passionate.
Yes,
about this one too.
A lot of passionate stories
Definitely,
here.
yes. All right, guys, switching gears again here. And what better way, we're talking about spring now that we're in the season, and what better way to start the season than with free ice cream? Dairy Queen is bringing back its free cone day today as a perfect way to get your spring started. So head to your closest DQ and you can snag one of these free cones. So the offer is a Dairy Queen tradition, but it was actually canceled last year because of the pandemic. The free sweet treat will be available at most DQ locations except restaurants located inside of malls. So keep that in mind. Each person is limited to one free ice cream cone, but the offer is not valid for delivery or mobile orders. So you are going to have to go to these Dairy Queens. And we always want to remind people, just make sure you check beforehand that your closest DQ is offering this deal. Don't want you to show up there and for whatever reason they say, hey, we're not doing this thing.
Do you really want an Uber Eats guy to be handing you a drippy cone at home?
Not really. And that's
Sorry.
what we're passionate about ice cream.
Yes,
also.
yeah.
Yes.
Another thing.
As well. That's a great point, though. Why would you have the delivery guy basically drive with a cone?
I wouldn't expect that. Maybe a shake if.
Or a sundae, because then you've got a shake.
Yeah.
Maybe,
Hey,
right?
There you go. All these stories and more, guys, on KSAT.com.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, RJ.
Thanks, guys.
There is more ahead on GMSA at 9.
And it's a 1 in a million shot, but you might be the perfect match for someone needing bone marrow transplants. So later, details on how you can get tested and why donating is so important.
First, the search continues for people responsible for defacing history, damaging a popular San Antonio Missions church. Details on what's next and how parishioners plan to repair the damages.
And as we head to break, a quick check of the roads with TransGuide. Again, looking there at that accident that we've been talking about all morning there in East Bexar County on I-10 East at Loop 1604 eastbound.
And TransGuide, live cam showing us gray skies and the showers continue, but we are on alert potential severe weather. Again, more on the timing and where all this could happen coming up with our meteorologist, Justin Horn. Welcome back. 9:31. Two historic churches left with scars after a break-in and some vandalism. The suspect not yet caught. The targets: Mission San Juan, Mission Concepcion.
John Paul Barajas spoke with parishioners of both churches to see how they're holding up and what steps they're taking next.
Church is a place of worship and where so many of faith go to find peace. Two historical churches at San Antonio's Missions had some of that peace stolen after they were vandalized.
It's sad. I mean, I don't know why people would want to do that. These are churches, you know. Why would anybody want to come in to vandalize these 5 missions? These 5 missions that we have here are national treasures here in San Antonio. It's very important to preserve our history.
Art Valdez is an usher at Mission Concepcion. He explained the mission's history dates back to the early 1700s. Historical churches bring people to visit from all over the world, like this couple from the north.
We were very impressed. We went to Mass at St. Concepcion, and we enjoyed it because we don't have mariachi music very often in South Dakota.
Good thoughts that somebody would do that type of thing.
There's just evil in the world.
Between March 12th and 17th, someone tried to break into Mission Concepcion. They were unsuccessful and ended up carving the names of 2 Mexican generals from the Mexican Revolution, one of which being Pancho Villa on the church doors. Mission San Juan's deacon Carlos Marquez says they weren't as lucky.
They made away with the door handle, which was all brass and antique, so that's very valuable.
Mission San Juan does have security cameras that overlooks the park, and National Park Services is going to be reviewing that because it's pointed directly at the door. The deacon says the suspect kicked in to gain access. This now a temporary replacement door.
This person didn't have enough time to take anything from the church and just left right away when the alarm came on.
John Paul Barajas, KSAT 12 News.
And taking a look outside with live cam this morning. Okay, doesn't look as bad as it did earlier, but I guess we are expecting more rain later on today, Justin.
Yeah, these showers are going to continue to lighten up a little bit and move to the north and maybe move out here by about lunchtime. But it's still damp out there right now. Still a lot of wet roads. We picked up about 0.2 of an inch of rain at the airport. That's fantastic. We love to see that. We'll take any rain we can get at this point. But the threat and what we're concerned about is that we could see some stronger storms this afternoon. Let's look at the radar right now. And you see it's all very light, mostly just those light greens, and that represents some of that light drizzle and maybe a few pockets of heavier rain in there, but no lightning strikes or anything like that. You look a little closer here at the city of San Antonio, some passing light showers moving south to north. And again, here and there, you'll find some pockets mixed in there with some heavier rain. Out towards Converse, for instance, you see that one little pocket there. These will pass by pretty quickly. As we look at the severe weather risk today, locally, there is a risk for some numerous amount of severe storms as we get east of San Antonio. We're talking east of 281 here. So New Braunfels, San Marcos, Seguin, Gonzales, Howitzville, those areas are places we're going to watch very closely this afternoon. But even here in San Antonio, the risk for some scattered strong storms as we get, say, into the 4 to 8 p.m. time frame there later tonight. Pollen count is in. Molds are high, 1,540. Long list there. Oak and ash are in the moderate categories. Mulberry, juniper, hackberry, all low. Here's a look at the forecast and the timeline for you. So showers ending around noontime, 2 p.m., 20% chance of rain. Then we up that to a 60% chance, 4 to 6 p.m. Severe storms possible. And then that rain starts to move east by 8 p.m. So keep in mind, this includes the evening commute and also after school activities. These are things you're going to want to watch very closely. Keep a close eye on the forecast, depending on how these storms set up. And we'll be giving you the latest all day long, guys.
Thank you very much. It is our hope that this clears sooner than later. I-10 headed towards Houston has been closed down all morning long out there east of San Antonio, just before Loop 1604. They are still diverting traffic, and it looks like there's still a number of crews out there. Our understanding this involves a jackknifed 18-wheeler, but again, this has been going on. We were tracking this on our early newscast today. It continues to be a problem. Long line of traffic there of folks waiting to be diverted off onto the frontage road and around that incident in East Bexar County. Again, eastbound 10 around FM 16 and Loop 1604.
Yeah, those frontage roads are packed right now. And for many people needing stem cell or bone marrow transplants, it's their last chance of survival.
Finding a match for a donor is a 1 in a million shot. KSAT's Lee Waldman spoke with a nurse at the South Texas Blood and Tissue Center who was able to give the gift of life while also gaining a friend for life.
Every day for the last 7 years, Dorothy Ward has called the apheresis center at South Texas Blood and Tissue Center her office.
we actually do is collect peripheral blood stem cells from donors that have become a DNA genetic match for patients.
The patients in need of this type of treatment, it's usually their last hope.
When a match is found, it's like winning the lotto.
Dot became a donor when she started working here as a phlebotomist 22 years ago. For 6 years, she sat on the list waiting to see if she was someone's life-saving match. Suddenly, in 2004, it came.
Her name is Gemma.
Gemma was diagnosed with leukemia at 14. She received treatment and went into remission before the cancer came back with a vengeance. She needed a bone marrow transplant quickly.
Am I going to find a donor? Am I going to survive?
Until she was matched with Dot, almost 5,000 miles away. Suddenly, Gemma had a future, one she wanted Dot to be a part of.
I'll never forget this day. In 2018, I received a text message that to join Gemma on Skype. From then to now to this date, we are in touch and we will always be in touch from now on.
Gemma had one more surprise for Dot.
Gemma was telling me that she was recently engaged. She would like for me to attend her wedding.
After 2 years of COVID delays, Dot and Gemma finally met in person.
It was very emotional, very overwhelming.
Days later, on March 5th, 2022, Dot watched as Gemma married the love of her life.
Not forgetting donor Dorothy, who is literally a lifesaver.
We have this saying where she says, I am you, and I was like, and you are me.
The two separated by an ocean.
Goodbye. See you later.
Love you. Now bonded for life. Lee Waldman, KSAT 12 News.
And Dot says Gemma made her the nurse she is today and inspires her to keep doing better. If you would like to sign up to be a donor like Dot, we have a link on our website at ksat.com. You just have to fill out a few questions. They'll send a mouth swab and you'll be on your way to potentially saving someone in need.
9:38, a recap of latest Spurs matchup next with Max.
However, first, a live look outside in our San Antonio area as we prepare for possible severe weather tonight. We're going to be checking in with Justin a little bit after the break. Welcome back.
Yeah,
9:42.
Okay. Jinx.
Hey, Jinx. You owe me a Coke.
9:42, and Justin is here. Lots to talk about today.
Yep.
We've had rain early, or we're going to have a break and then kind of get another shot.
That's the way it's looking, and it's pretty wet out there right now. Everything is very, very light. It's the afternoon that we're going to watch for some of the stronger storms popping up. And the question is going to be where exactly these storms pop up, because it's going to have a large bearing on who sees severe weather and who doesn't. But first, let's look at the radar here. And you see the light rain that continues to move through the city of San Antonio. We have picked up 0.2 of an inch, as I mentioned earlier. This is good. We like the rain. But most everything now is very, very light. Sort of the drizzly stuff, still going to make for slick roadways if you're out and about traveling today. And then you see some of the pockets of maybe more moderate rain. But these are quick moving and tracking off to the north at this hour, moving through places like Hollywood Park and Bulverde. Here's a look at the futurecast. And I think this has been handling it fairly well. By noontime, the rain is starting to move out. We've still got cloud cover around here. And then the question becomes, do we see some breaks in the clouds? And will we see some sun? If we do, it destabilizes the atmosphere. And this is around the time frame, 2 p.m., that we can start to see some thunderstorms popping up. You see here, this is around Blanco County. Don't focus too much on exactly where this model pops up the storms, but it gives us a general idea here by 4 p.m. And then it moves it east of San Antonio by 5 p.m. So is it possible that if you're living on the west side of San Antonio, western Bexar County, that you may not see any more in the storms later this afternoon? Yes, it's possible, just depending on where these storms, again, exactly pop up along the dry line. They'll move east. And this is around the evening commute, so we've got to watch it very closely. I think that some of these storms, especially if they become isolated, that's where we have to be concerned about the threat for severe weather. And all the threats are kind of there today, and I'll explain that here in just a second. But Austin to Gonzales, down to Beeville, that's where we're looking at storms maybe around 6 p.m. or so. And then this starts to scoot east by the evening and overnight hours, although it may linger some for some of our southeastern counties. And that's where we will have to be concerned for some flooding rains in those areas. I don't think flooding is a concern at all here in San Antonio, unless we just get stuck underneath one big storm. As far as the forecast goes, a good chance of showers this morning. And then the rain chances start to taper off a little bit, and then we could start to see some sun around 1 p.m. Just a 20% chance of rain. As we get into the afternoon, this is where we start to look at some thunderstorm chances. And I think it picks up between, say, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and you see the rain chances increasing to 60% when we get those storms to sort of fire, and then they push east. And then by the evening, we'll start to taper the rain chances off a little bit, especially by, say, 8 or 9 o'clock. Temperatures will top out in the 80s, especially if we do see some sun. I'm fairly confident that we'll get into the 80s this afternoon. Severe weather risk. There's a large area of Texas that's going to see numerous severe storms. We're talking Dallas, Tyler, Houston, Austin, down to San Antonio. And then locally, it's really eastern Bexar County and points east that there is a higher threat for strong to severe storms. San Marcos, Gonzales, Cuero. As you go west, the chance of severe weather tapers off, especially as you go west of Hondo. The threats, hail is our highest threat, tops the list, but we will watch for the possibility of a few tornadoes and some wind gusts, just the way the atmosphere is setting up. Again, flooding is very unlikely. And then behind all of this, we've got dry air, gusty winds out west. This poses a fire threat. That's another hazard we have today west of San Antonio, those counties highlighted there in pink. As we go outside for you, 68 degrees at the airport, 68 Kelly, 71 Stinson. We're seeing some pretty gusty winds at this point out of the south-southeast. 60s and 70s for the most part. 65 Kerrville, 68 New Braunfels, and then 60s, mid-60s here around northern Bexar County as you get up towards Comfort and Canyon Lake. Dew points are in the 60s and 70s, so there's a lot of moisture out there. And I mentioned the dry line, so we're going forward in time here. This is by 6 p.m. This is the dry line that is pushing east that's going to help kick up some of those storms. And it really does depend on where that dry line sets up today. The rest of the forecast is pretty quiet, so we're going to focus on today. 83 this afternoon, 73 tomorrow, 70 on Wednesday. Breezy winds through Thursday. And then the weekend at this point is looking pretty good. But stay tuned today. We'll keep you posted, especially through the KSAT weather app, guys.
Thank you, Justin. And our San Antonio Spurs hold on for a big win at Golden State and stay alive in the race for the play-in tournament.
Max and RJ are back to talk silver and black and Keldon Johnson's game-winning shot.
Oh, yeah. The Spurs surviving here, Max. Hanging on by a thread.
So it's so funny because we're now at that point where some people are upset they're winning.
Okay, I was going to bring that up. Yeah, they're not choking for Chet. There is no choke for Chet.
I heard you say that in the newsroom last week. Do you want to tell the people?
Chet Holmgren, one of the top prospects in the NBA draft coming up. The Spurs have said that, look, we are going to go for the play-in game.
You should.
And they should.
And to win the game.
Yeah, yesterday, taking on Golden State up there in San Francisco now. And you know what? San Antonio, again, kind of same song and dance here. Keldon Johnson hitting a big three there. But early on here in the third quarter, Draymond Green, Max, losing it a little bit.
So it's funny because we were talking about it yesterday morning. Steph is out, so Draymond, pretty much their second best player, arguably their most important.
Klay.
And yeah. Well, so hot take, Draymond Green, more important than Klay Thompson. But Klay Thompson looked like Klay of old yesterday. And then here you go, your boy, Josh Richardson.
Yeah, Josh Richardson been playing great. He really kind of brings a different attitude to this team. Had over 20 points again for them. But here was sort of the end of the game here. So we are now up with Golden State up 1 here. Jakob Poeltl goes to the line. He makes the first one. So this ties things up
And
right
then,
there.
Here we go. Wait for it. The game-winning shot.
Yes. Keldon Johnson there with the putback with 0.3 seconds left. Look at how excited Keldon is. Yeah, these guys are not tanking, at least not for the moment. Watch this a few more times. Now, Steve Kerr was complaining that the previous possession, that Jakob, they called a foul on Poeltl, but that they did not call a foul on Keldon Johnson there. Your thoughts, Max?
You know what? You let the game play out. Obviously, no play is going to be perfect. Same thing when we talk about football. There's probably a hold every play. Give them a win, and if they were that much of a better team, they would have been up before that circumstance. Hey, guess what? Andrew Wiggins, make your free throws. You wouldn't be in that situation.
This is true. So let's go ahead and hear a little bit from Keldon Johnson on this big game-winning shot.
I had faith he was going to make it, but I was like, just go for it. Even without a doubt, just go for it. And, you know, I crashed in, and I think somebody tipped it. And I just grabbed it and turned around and put it up. I was like, man, the main thing when I grabbed it, I was just like, I just want to get it off in time. You know, get it off in time, give me a chance to, you know, win. So, you know, I just crashed the glass and, you know, everything else just took care of itself.
All right, so this win now, Spurs, 2.5 games behind New Orleans and the Lakers, who I have no idea what the Lakers are doing here. I don't think LeBron James wants to play and continue this season anymore. Yeah.
So first off, shouts to Steph. She was like, hey, it's Fiesta jerseys.
It's true, yeah.
I love the Fiesta jerseys. Fiesta, just around the corner. But yes, in terms of the play-in, why not? Go for it.
Yeah, they should. I mean, at this point, yeah, they're probably not going to end up with a top 5 pick. So we joke around, choke for Chet Holmgren, who's going to be one of the top 3 guys taken. But they're still going to get a pick probably in the 7 to 10 range. So I think that might as well go for it here. And who do we have next? We have Portland coming up next. Another team that has basically just decided to give it. They are tanking. Portland actually is tanking.
Yeah, they got rid of CJ McCollum, who ironically is on the team we're going to be playing after Portland, taking on the New Orleans Pelicans, who actually just kind of destroyed the Spurs.
They destroyed San Antonio on Friday. New Orleans was up by like 40 on the Spurs on Friday here at home.
It was a weird game. And Lonnie went down.
We got to play them again on the 26th.
Yep. Which is, you know what? I would rather play them than, say someone like the Celtics or someone who's really fighting for the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
The Pelicans could obviously,
So we have 3 games against Portland left.
Yep.
That must wins right there. 10 games left overall. So I'm thinking the Spurs can win about 6, 7 of those games. They also get the Rockets in there too.
Right.
You're throwing
and maybe
6,
the Mavs will throw the Spurs a bone because the Mavs is the season finale. Dallas may be in.
They could rest Luka.
Yeah.
They could, rest their important players for the playoffs.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I love the Spurs team. I've gone on rants before. People are like, what's going on with the Spurs? We're just young. I think every piece has been put there meticulously. I love the Josh Richardson acquisition. Josh Primo showed up and shelled out yesterday.
Nice.
Had some great plays. He knew when to move, when not to move without the ball.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little bit on the fence. I like the team. I like the youth. I like the energy. I think, are we at a contender level right now?
No, but you got to be patient.
Going to grow a little bit with that.
Yeah, be patient, RJ.
Hey, speaking of the madness of March, we're talking now some games coming to the San Antonio area. It's going to be played at the AT&T Center, the South Regional Final. We're going to get Arizona versus Houston, and then Michigan versus Villanova. Both these games Thursday night.
All right, here at home, here in San Antonio, I got to ask, how's the bracket doing?
Not great. It's not great, Max.
Mark, Steph, do you guys do a bracket this year?
I didn't do it this year, but almost everybody I know that has done one busted.
Oh, yeah, St. Peter. Peacocks.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what type of fans Houston brings, obviously up the road there. So the Cougs looking to get back into the Final Four. They were there a couple of years ago, but Arizona, really good team, one of the better teams across the country. Villanova won here a few years back, their Final Four.
We were there at the Final Four.
Man. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was cool to see. And then watched it yesterday. Gillespie looked good. Villanova. I have Villanova, Zags.
Oh, boy.
Your boy Chet.
Let's go.
Chet Holmgren, possible future Spur. I have Villanova against Gonzaga in the final, so we'll see.
They call it
Stephanie.
Madness for a reason.
Yeah.
It is maddening. All right, guys, thank you. 9:52, about 68 degrees.
We'll be right back. And welcome back. It's 9:56. Let's take another look outside with TransGuide. Of course, we're still looking at that accident that's been there pretty much all morning. I-10 east at Loop 1604, and this is eastbound Bexar County. You can see the wind shaking the camera there.
It's still there.
Yeah, and there's still some wet roads out there. We're going to see some showers off and on this morning, then a little bit of a break midday, and then we'll look for the possibility of a few storms, especially east of 281 this afternoon.
Keep it here on KSAT.
Have a good day.